Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today on the website of Amati Auctions based in the UK. If you're joining us on this video, this is actually part 2 of a double video series. So Amati have an auction which is finishing on the 1st and 2nd of November. There's another video which is about the lots finishing on the 1st of November, and this is the one about the lots finishing on the 2nd of November. So if you haven't seen the first video, you might want to see this one. Here we're just kind of taking over from the 2nd of November lots onwards, so it features the same format as the other auction. So there's some cellos, violins, violas, bows, etc, etc. I'll just quickly say buyer's premiums 22% on this auction, so that's what you pay on top of the final hammer price. This is a UK based auction, so bear in mind import export fees, CITES, shipping restrictions, all of that kind of fun stuff. If you do enjoy these videos, please like, comment or subscribe. Just a reminder, this one is finishing on the 2nd of November, the other one is finishing on the 1st of November. Do check out the other video if you haven't seen it already. What we're going to do basically is just take a quick kind of overview of this auction, see if there's anything interesting at all, and that is basically it. A quick overview, nothing too crazy. Okay, there will also be links in the description to the auction on the website. So anyway, starting on the first lot of the stuff finishing on the 2nd of November is a cello, possibly Bolzano, circa 1800, which I think is actually quite interesting. Let's see what the condition report. Oh, no condition report on this one so far, but that will probably appear at some point. 5,000 to 8,000. I think that's quite an interesting cello. We've got a cello, probably Henry Lockyer Hill for Longman and Broderick, London, circa 1810. 6 to 10 on that. These can be quite nice. I think we might not have condition reports up for some of these lots so far because we were fairly early in the game. But a nice looking cello, but not a problem. We will just go through without them. And the cello workshop of JTL, that's pretty standard kind of thing, nothing too crazy there. Cello Germany, circa 1790, that's slightly odd looking thing there, quite narrow. And a cello by Andreas Lenmark, Stockholm, 1849. Interesting, see a mid 19th century Swedish instrument there. Oh, we do have a condition report on this one, so maybe some are just awaiting. A few closed cracks here, some kind of new wood, etc. Cello, probably France, circa 1790. Again, it's a fairly narrow looking instrument, but curious. Cello, probably Italy, circa 1820. Okay, 8 to 10,000 with a Tononi label. Yeah, that is fairly interesting. A cello workshop of JTL, so it's just your kind of French of that period, nothing too crazy. Another JTL cello here, so we've got a few of them. Wow, that's quite a wild back, but I think this is all painted on flames there. Cello by Roland H. Ross, Guildford, 1979, 4 to 6. Lots of Roland Ross instruments floating about at the moment for some reason. That looks in very good condition. Roland Ross, good maker there. Cello Mittenwald, circa 1850. Oh, interesting. This is on gut setup. That's quite curious. On Baroque setup, sorry. That's kind of curious. I quite like that. 2 to 4 could be a good instrument. Let's have a look at the condition report. Chips to wear, some closed cracks, some open cracks. It doesn't look too bad, to be fair. A cello by Charles and Samuel Thompson, London, circa 1770, 10 to 15,000. Pretty cool F-holes on that. Looks like a good English cello there for not too bad a price. Curious F-holes there. Cello Germany, circa 1900. Nothing super exciting there. Cello workshop of Ernst Heinrich Roth, Bourbon Ruth, 1977, 2 to 4. This would probably do better in the American market. They love that stuff. Doesn't look super exciting. It's a bit of a late one. If it was a 1920s one or something, it'd probably be a lot more popular. So let's just check what that said before. Sold with certificate of Ernst Heinrich Roth. Okay, interesting. Cello, probably England, circa 1910. Okay, interesting kind of crackle to the varnish there. Cello, 20th century. Hard to say what's going on with that one. Right, we're on to bows again. Violin bow by W.E. Hill & Sons. Current bid 1500 on that. A silver mounted violin bow by Eugene Sartori. 8 to 12,000 on that one. So no bids so far. Silver mounted violin bow by Albert Nürnberger. There's always good bows. Silver mounted violin bow Germany. Nickel mounted violin bow unbranded. A gold mounted violin bow by Garner Wilson, Suffolk. We already saw a few Garner Wilson bows in the other auction, so that's kind of interesting. Silver mounted violin bow Workshop of Dorfler. Nickel mounted violin bow by Hermann Fiedler. Silver mounted violin bow by Pierre Simon, 15 to 20,000. So it's a nice top level bow. I have to say this Amati auction has some really nice bows, potentially better bows than instruments. Nickel mounted violin bow, France. Silver mounted violin bow, Workshop of Frechner, Marknenkirchen, also pretty good bows. Nickel mounted violin bow, Workshop of Charles Louis Bazat, got a Raffin certificate there. Silver mounted violin bow by W.E. Hill & Sons, London. One thing you could be guaranteed in any English or British auctions, you're always going to have a Hill bow. Silver mounted violin bow by Georges Bargenet, Mirko, it's got a Pierre Guillaume certificate. Silver mounted violin bow, Workshop of Rudolf Neudorfer. Bone mounted violin bow, 19th century. Silver mounted violin bow, Germany. A silver mounted violin bow by August Rau, circa 1930. A silver mounted violin bow by Emil Werner. Silver mounted violin bow, not a lot to go on there. Nickel mounted violin bow for J. Hell Lille. Right, silver mounted violin bow branded Jazz Tubbs, 3 to 500 on that. Also check out the condition reports if there's anything exciting. Silver mounted violin bow by James Tubbs, London, 4 to 6 on that. Quite nice bows, nice head. Bow in good condition, well that is good. Gold mounted violin bow by W.E. Hill & Sons, London. Right, this is a tortoiseshell gold fleur-de-lis. This is like top level bow. Very interesting angle on the frog there. That's quite I wonder if this is a fairly modern one. Looks quite a sharp kind of angle to it. 3 to 5 on that. I wonder if that, I would presume that would sell because that's the top bow, but it is a bit annoying with the tortoiseshell for travelling, I think. Another Hill bow here. Really, they made so many of them. Silver mounted violin bow branded J. Walker. Nickel mounted violin bow, Workshop of JTL. Nickel mounted violin bow unbranded. A golden ivory mounted violin bow by Louis Morzon Frère, Mirko, 2 to 4. There's a current bid on that, 2,000. Once again, quite a nice looking bow, but always ivory or tortoiseshell kind of puts me off a bit. Gold mounted violin bow by Louis Morzon Frère, Mirko. 3/4 size bow for Caresse and Francais. Probably the work of Claude Thomasin. Interesting. A silver mounted violin bow by Friedrich Wunderlich, Leipzig. A silver mounted violin bow by Brian Alvey, London, 800 to 1200. Got lots of pictures here, so there must be something must be going on. Let's have a look. Traces of, not quite sure, residue. See pictures. Okay, yeah, something a bit weird going on there. Yeah, I don't know. It could be just some glue or something. A silver mounted violin bow by Eugene Sartori, Paris. It's got the certificate of the maker. That's quite interesting. Don't know how common that is. 14 to 16,000 on that. Starting bids of 16. That seems slightly odd. I think that might be a mistake there, if the estimate's 14. A silver mounted violin bow, Workshop of Cuneo Huri, 2 to 3. Pierre Guillaume certificate. Silver mounted violin bow by Richard Geipel, Marknenkirchen. Silver mounted violin bow by Roderick Paysold. Nickel mounted violin bow by Louis Bazat. It's got a Pierre Guillaume certificate there. Silver mounted violin bow by Arthur Thoma, Germany. Silver mounted violin bow, Workshop of Conrad Gotz, Germany. Silver mounted violin bow by Victor Fatique, Paris. Silver mounted viola bow by Garner Wilson of Suffolk. Once again, more Garner Wilson bows. Interesting. A silver mounted violin bow by Emile François Houchard Mirecourt, 1920. And a silver mounted violin bow for Karel van der Meer, Amsterdam. Right, we're on to instruments again. A violin by Jean-Baptiste Chipaut-Villaume, Paris, 1889. It's actually not too bad. I'm sure that will probably sell. Violin by Aleth Michael, Bristol, 2007. Violin France, circa 1910. Lutherie Artistiques has quite a nasty soundpost crack gash there, so not too good. Violin Germany, circa 1910. Nothing too crazy there. Violin Mirecourt, circa 1890. Once again, not really super exciting. Violin probably Anton Wittmann, Vienna, 1930s. Okay. Violin, 19th century. Kind of interesting back, like weird varnish going on there. Not sure exactly what's happening there. Violin France, circa 1910. Nothing too crazy there. Violin probably Charles and Samuel Thompson, London, circa 1760. Sold with a letter of Vatlow and Rampel, 800 to 1200 there. This looks in not the greatest of condition, to be quite honest. Violin by Colin Mazat, Mirecourt, 1900. Someone has done something horrific to the F-holes there. F-holes recut, yeah, that is kind of horrible. That's really going to affect the value there. Violin for Robert Flageolet, Paris, circa 1950. So again, nothing super exciting there. Violin Mirecourt, circa 1850. It's actually kind of interesting. 800 to 1200, the estimate. Starting bids of 800. A violin workshop of GATL, 1907, 4 to 800 on that. Pretty standard, but it's got quite a nice back, so it might be popular. A violin workshop of Paul Alexandre Mongenot, Mirecourt, circa 1920, 1000 to 1500 on that. Actually, fairly nice instrument. Let's have a look what the length of back is on that. 356, yeah, that's not too bad. Violin by Rich Duke Senior, London, circa 1770, 3 to 4 on that. So I think we saw a violin by Richard Duke Jr. before. So here's one by the senior. I think I almost prefer the junior one. Violin Germany, circa 1880. Nothing super exciting there. Violin workshop of Lowendahl, Berlin, circa 1890. Quite a nice back on that. Outline is a little bit funky. Violin Germany, circa 1890. Varnish looks a little bit bizarre on that. Violin 19th century with a Galliano label. Violin School of Calsas, circa 1910, 4600. That looks like someone's done some kind of drawing practice on that. Ooh, that's some serious antiquing of the next level. That is very bizarre. That's quite strange. Violin School of Hopf, South Germany, circa 1820, 3 to 500. Not super inspiring. Violin for Goulding & Co, London, circa 1840, 1000 to 1500. Okay, so far the stuff in the first sale is better, I think. Violin 19th century. That's kind of okay. A violin probably Germany, 20th century. Okay. Violin 20th century. So looking fairly similar. Violin by Thomas Earl Hesketh, Manchester, 1936. 4 to 6. Got 4,000 bid on it. So Guarneri model there. A nice back on that. Looks like a nicely made instrument. 352 as well. Good length of the back there. Violin France, 20th century. Once again, quite a figured back there. Fei Paji Aparut, 1800 to 2400 there. Violin by G. B. Cherucci, Cremona, 1802. Sold with the certificate of Andres Voivod. 60 to 80,000 on this. So this is a Cremonese violin. Interesting, so it's have half edged on the table, which is not uncommon for these older violins, really. Be quite interested to see what this looks like in person. Not my kind of favourite looking instrument so far in this sale, to be honest. Violin, 20th century. Okay. Violin, workshop of E.H. Roth, 1969, 2 to 4 on this. Okay. That might be popular. Violin, France, circa 1900. Violin, Germany, 18th century. Slightly odd model and in a pretty bad condition. Violin by John Lamb, Shiremore, 1898. Another pretty bizarre model there. 3 to 500. Violin, France, 1900. Violin, Mirkel, circa 1920. Nothing too exciting there. Violin, Naples, circa 1920. 5 to 7 on that. Labelled Rafael Galliano and Antonio Galliano. Starting bids of 5. Not super exciting either, unfortunately. Violin, France, 1920. Okay. Violin, Marknikirchen, circa 1920. Actually not too bad on the varnish there, Heberlein thing. Violin, School of Klotz, Germany, 19th century. So needs a bit of work there. Violin, Mirkel, 1920. A violin by Ernest J. Saunders, London, 1920. Quite nice back on that, actually. Interesting varnish, but kind of slightly weird purfling, I think. 500 to 1,000. And a lot of the scrolls I'm not really liking in this auction. A violin by Emmanuel Whitmarsh, London, 1917, 1,500 to 2,000 or 2,500. Yeah, strange. A lot of the scrolls I'm not liking. A violin, England, workshop of John Betts, London, circa 1840, 10 to 15. Starting bids of 10. Can we get a nicer scroll on this? Don't know, it's not super exciting either. Violin, circa 1780. Interesting back. Not so much on the scroll. A violin, School of Derazy, Paris, 19th century, 3 to 5,000 on that. Interesting varnish on that. Fairly nice, a bit better on the scroll. Let's look at the dimensions. 360, it's kind of fairly big, but could be worse. Violin, France, circa 1920. A lot of French 1920 violins in this auction. It looks like the front is open, so that's going to be expensive. Violin, possibly Northern Italy, 19th century. Quite like this, kind of curious outline, curious F-holes. Kind of back is kind of curious in a way. Let's have a look at the scroll. Yeah, it's not too bad. 800 to 1,200. I mean, someone is going to bid on that just because it's possibly Italian, you know, for such a low estimate. Violin, possibly Jules Grandjean, France, circa 1860. Let's have a look at that. Kind of typical French stuff. Violin by Gerald Littlewood, Hollingworth in Longdale, 1976. 500 to 1,000 there. Number 10, 1976. Looks just fairly normal, nothing too crazy. Violin, probably Colin Mazafi, France, 1907. You can see that the varnish is kind of interesting on that one. 2 to 4. See what they estimate is 360. A violin, France, 20th century. The Charles Galliard label. A violin, possibly Italy, 20th century, Stefano Caponetto, Catania, 1500 to 2500. Kind of curious scroll. I could see why that could lead to Italian. Violin, circa 1890. Okay. Violin, Germany, 18th century. It's getting in a fairly bad state there. Violin, Germany, circa 1870. The kind of fake Perry Dublin brand at the back. Violin, possibly Italy, 20th century. That is a pretty funky back there. Interesting pin. It's kind of crazy wood that some of the Chinese makers use. Leone Senavi. Interesting. Violin, School of Derazzi, France, 19th century. Fairly standard looking. Violin, Germany, 1790. That's kind of interesting in some ways. Labelled David Christian Hopf, 357 length the back. A violin, France, 20th century, with an Emilio Germain label. All just looks fairly standardy stuff. Violin, England, 19th century. Kind of quite nice back on that, but it looks a bit like a Hopfy kind of type thing. C.J. Smoother, violin maker, Kent. Okay. A violin, France, 20th century. Kind of Guarneri-esque F-Holzer. A violin by Etienne Perrin, Mircore, circa 1830. It's that kind of Nicholas Ain kind of type shape. Violin, Germany, 18th century, 2 to 4 on that. Quite a few of these similar looking German violins. Violin, South Germany, 18th century. Okay. Violin, France, 1900. Violin by Joseph Laurent Mars, Toulouse, circa 1800. Sold with certificate of Jean-Jacques Rampal, 3 to 5 on that. This is also an interesting kind of Nicholas Ain type violin. I think Mars might have kind of worked in that workshop or something. I'm not 100% sure. This is an interesting kind of varnish to this, a bit paler. I quite like this actually. I think this is quite nice. 3 to 5. Yeah, not too bad. Few closed cracks. What's the size of it? 358. That's alright. Not too bad. A violin, Tyrol, circa 1800, starting bid 800. This I think is actually one of my favourite lots. It's a little bit of a weird shape, weird corners, F-holes, quite far spread. Quite like the colour of the varnish, interesting kind of corners. But I really like this head. Not sure if it's kind of original or not, but I think that's a really nice lion. So I quite like that. A few closed cracks and stuff like that, a few open ones, but not too bad. So 800 to 1200, I think that's good. For me, that's kind of the thing that I would be interested in this workshop. Sorry, in this auction. That's probably the kind of stuff that I go for. Right, a violin, Northern Italy, late 19th century, scroll by another hand, quite possibly Michael Decanet, sold a certificate of Eric Blot Cremona 2021, 10 to 15,000. Kind of interesting looking thing, isn't it? Interesting varnish, quite crazy. Interesting. Scroll is just, I don't know, not super exciting to me, but there we go. What's the size? 354. Interesting. A violin, possibly by George Walham Hudson, 2 to 4, starting bid 2. Violin, Mircore, circa 1900. Okay. Violin, France, circa 1920. Violin, Germany, 19th century. I think we must be getting towards the end of the violins at this point. A violin, possibly Augustus Pilastri, Bologna, 14,000 to 16,000. Okay, interesting looking violin. Let's have a look at the measurements. 358, like kind of pretty curious corner work and varnish there. Yeah, nice kind of back, very curious. Yeah, interesting looking thing. Not sure, but definitely a curious one. Violin, early 20th century. A violin by Carl Dreyer, Leipzig, circa 1880. A violin by Colin Mazar, 1882. That's actually quite nice, Colin Mazar. 4 to 6, someone I'm sure will bid on that. Violin Miracle, circa 1880, 2 to 4. Quite curious spread of the F holes there. Oh, that's actually quite a nice scroll. That's quite a nice tidy scroll. There's some real nasty scrolls otherwise. 3/4 size violin, Italy, circa 1770. And that's interesting, 800 to 1200. Oh, nice back on that. Weird kind of inlay patch there. That's pretty bizarre. But yeah, nice wood there. Quite cool scroll. Let's see what it says here. Yeah, random patch in the back. That's pretty strange. A violin Mitterwald, circa 1710. Actually quite like that in a way. 1000 to 1500. A violin probably low country, circa 1800. So that's kind of Belgium, Netherlands, kind of that thing. Interesting, like kind of shield or something on the back. Yeah, it's quite nice. Nice back. That's curious. 3 to 5 on that starting bid. 3. Missing the nut. A Viola by Julian Emery, Aberystwyth, 1987. Quite nice looking viola there. 396, the length of back. Let's get on to the next one. Viola Miracle, 20th century. Let's have a look at the size of that. 406. A Viola Workshop of JTL, current bid 1700 on that, so that's popular. 408, yeah, it's quite a good size. Viola by Jan Bobak, Chicago, 1997. That's quite nice. 1000 to 2000 the estimate. What's the size of it? 413, that's a good size. Viola, late 19th century. Interesting. What size is that? 379, that's pretty small. A large viola by Roland Ross Guilford, 1978, starting bid 1000. Say it again, Roland Ross, like good maker for sure. Looks like a nice viola. Traces of glue to the back. Yeah, I wonder if it's like actually an elastic band or something that was used by someone, or some other padding. It's a bit strange. Let's have a look. How large is large? Wow, 479. That is crazy. That is going to be super uncomfortable for most people to play. That is pretty bonkers. Let's have a look on the image viewer a bit and see. It's kind of cool looking instrument though. Really good condition. So, but pretty bizarre. Okay, let's carry on. A viola by Roland Ross Guilford, 1977. Another one. Nice looking one. Yeah, nice looking instrument there. Let's have a look at the size on that one. 413, that's a lot better, so that's in Baroque kind of setup. A viola by Paul Shelley, Birmingham, 2 to 4000. I think we saw a viola by, not a viola, a violin by Paul Shelley in the first part of the auction. I think this is like a Brescian model or something like that. It's kind of quite interesting, 2 to 4. I quite like it. What's the size of it? Yeah, 416. That's a good modern size. So I think that's pretty cool, to be honest. So a viola by Matthias Hornsteiner, Mitterwald, 1803, 8 to 12,000 on that. I think this might have been in one of the other auctions. Once again, nice looking viola there. 425. Okay, well that is actually pretty good size. A lot of people looking for that kind of size of viola now. Viola circa 1920. Not super exciting. 390. It's kind of smaller one. Viola 20th century. Quite like that. Quite back. It looks like it's got a sound post crack in the back though. 600 to 1000 on that. Actually, let's have a look at the scroll. Yeah, there's no condition report so far, but I do wonder. 407. It's not too bad. Viola 20th century. Well, there's quite a lot of violas in this auction. Whoa, that's a pretty funky back there. 500 to 1000. Let's have a look at the condition report on that. Quite like that actually. What's the size? 418. Yeah, that's a good size. Right, books to Goldbogen. Okay. Master Italian makers. This French bow book. Retford book. Stradivari Legacy. Dictionary of violin bow makers. Dictionary again. Palastri book. Count Ignazio Alessandro Cosio di Salbu. The British Violin. That's a really good book. Eternal Influence of Antonio Stradivari. Instruments of Nippon Music Foundation. The Fulton Collection. Golden Age of Violin Making in Spain, which is a book that I'd really like to get. Violins, Viom, 1798 to 1875, Stradivari Varnish. So let's have a look at that. 140 current bid. Violin case branded Gorge, another case. There was one in the other sale we looked at. Interesting. So current bid 300, and I think maybe there's a few more. A violin case branded Musafia. 130. I wonder if it is a proper Musafia of Cremona case. I'm not 100% sure, but they're quite expensive if it is one. And I think that's it. I think we're at the end of the catalogue. So that is basically the second part of the auction. Everything finishing on the 2nd of November. So that's starting from the second set of cellos onwards. Here, lot 171. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you check out part 1 if you missed that one, because this is part 2. Link in the description as always. Definitely a few interesting things here, the Cerruti violin and stuff, and a few other bits. I quite like this Tyrolean violin with the lion or whatever, dragon head, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, a few interesting stuff. I think I preferred the stuff in the first auction, to be honest, but there's a couple of nice violas in this one as well. So yeah, I'll put a link in the description. Check it out and see what you think. Thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.